My dad grew up in South Carolina towards the end of the Jim Crow era, which means they had blacks only schools, blacks only water fountains, blacks only stores, or maybe they were whites only, and the white people could go to the black people places. I don't know. But the point is, he grew up during segregation times, the ones that everyone talks about and acts like they live in currently. And he would always say, if I ever had a racist moment in my life, I missed it. Now, I never really thought too much about that until I got older. But finally, I realized what it is that he meant. And that is, if you are not looking for something, very rarely will you find it. The fact of the matter is, despite what most people would like to say or act like, the vast majority of racism is assumed. People go to job interviews and they don't get the job and they assume that it's because they're black, or they get pulled over by the police and they feel like they weren't doing anything wrong, so they assume it's because they're black. People don't like them. They have negative interactions with people of different races, generally Caucasians, and they assume that negative interaction is based purely upon the color of their skin. Same goes for the vast majority of sexism. It is all assumed. You go to a job interview, you don't get the job, and they hire a man, and you assume that they didn't hire you because you're a woman. Nobody is actually telling people these things. Nobody is saying, well, by and large, nobody is saying, I'm not hiring you because of the color of your skin, or because of your gender, or because of your sexual orientation, or anything along those lines. The people are just assuming those things. And the problem is, when this is what you were taught, when you are taught that you are going into a world where people are going to judge you and treat you differently due to your skin color, due to your gender, due to your sexual orientation, or something like that, you are then looking for it. And you are filtering everything that you see through this lens. If you put on red glasses, then everything that you see will appear to be red, regardless of what its true colors actually are. Your perspective colors the world that you live in. The world is not responsible for that. You are. So if you go about life looking to be discriminated against, then you will absolutely feel as though you are being discriminated against. But if you don't go through the world with that perspective, then you will find that that is not what you find. The people who believe that everyone is racist will experience racism everywhere that they go. And the people who don't. You could do with that whatever it is that you like, but the way the world works is you find exactly what it is that you seek. And most people adopt a perspective that is detrimental to them getting ahead in life. It is detrimental to them bettering themselves. It is detrimental to them being able to accomplish their goals, because it robs them of the ability to self-assess. If you go try and get a job and you assume that you're not being hired because you're black, then that robs you of the self-assessments necessary to do something better. You can't change the color of your skin. There are lots of things in your life that you can affect, but that is not one of them. And the fact of the matter is, there is a very good chance / high probability that maybe you weren't qualified for that job, or you didn't show up on time. Maybe you didn't answer the questions appropriately. Maybe you weren't dressed the best. Maybe you did not articulate yourself in a way that would inspire anyone to have confidence in you. Those are all possibilities, and quite honestly far more likely, but you're never going to take the time to look at what it is that happened and say, these are the things that I can do better, if you believe that things are just happening to you because of things that you cannot affect. And so many people are taught this. They are taught about white supremacy, and they don't take the time to look out into the world and say, well, if that's the case, how are all of these other non-white people successful? How are they doing things? How are they making money? How do they have jobs? How are they lawyers, doctors, bankers? How do they work on Wall Street? How are they working in the corporate world if they are truly being held back by this? How did Barack Obama become the president? The whole entire thing of how people become presidents is an entirely different topic. But the point is, when you believe this, you don't take the time to analyze the world and say, this doesn't really make sense. You adopt the perspective of a victim, which ensures that you will always be a victim. You will always be a victim of whatever situation happens because you have made yourself one. Now, when I say things like this, people sit there and say, you're saying that racism isn't real. No, that's not what I'm saying. Some people do actively dislike people because of the color of their skin. That's fine. Such is life. Everybody isn't going to like everybody. That's just how the world works. And some people aren't going to like people for stupid reasons, such as the color of their skin. Such is life. But people not liking you for that reason and that being something that holds you back are two wildly different things. It only holds you back because you believe that holds you back. I spent a very large portion of my life believing that rich white people would have an issue with me due to what it is that I was told by poor black people. And when I got around these rich white people, they didn't care. They talked to me like I was a normal person, and we've done business together. We've done all kinds of different endeavors depending on where I was at that point in my life. The color of my skin never held me back because I never believed that the color of my skin would hold me back. So many people have this as a roadblock because it is what they believe. They believe that this is something that's going to prevent them from getting ahead. They believe that this is something that people are going to judge them for. So they act accordingly and they wind up feeling like that is exactly what it is that's happening in the world. But again, take a look out into the world and you will see there are people of all colors, of all heights, of all genders, of all sexual orientations who are very, very successful in very, very different fields because they did not allow these things to hold me back. Oppression nowadays is entirely narrative based. They tell you these tales and you make them into your reality, and that prevents you from being who you want to be in this world. It is your thoughts, it is your beliefs, it is your perceptions that stand in your way. Nothing else. And as long as you believe that, as long as you have in your mind the idea that these things are going to prevent you from succeeding, you will never be able to succeed. But there are so many people who sit there and sidestep all of this stuff. And the question is, why did white supremacy not hold them back? Why did oppression not prevent them from succeeding? How do you see all of these rich, successful black people telling other black people that they cannot succeed and not wonder, well, why are you successful then? Even my sister, I try not to talk about stuff like that, but she is big on the whole white supremacy, oppression narratives and all of that, the patriarchy and everything. But she holds a high level corporate position that she got while being a black gay woman. Why didn't all of these things prevent her from succeeding? Why is she not being paid less? Why are they not discriminating against her because of the color of her skin or her sexual orientation? Yet people don't think about these things because they contradict the narrative, and they are too loyal to the narratives, and these narratives are negative. These narratives are detrimental to them. The oppression, like I said, nowadays is narrative based. Everyone is given these stories of why it is that they cannot succeed. The black people are told that the color of their skin will hold them back. The Mexicans are painted, as criminals and coming here illegally and stealing all of these jobs. And the white people are convinced to hate themselves because of the sins of ancestors that they have never met. And it is ridiculous. And if you adopt all of these beliefs, then you will absolutely be oppressed. But if you reject these beliefs, then you will not be oppressed. You will not deal with these things. You will not experience oppression or roadblocks. Until your mind is free, you will never be.